Hello, Storytime friends. Thank you so much for joining us for another bedtime story time this evening. My name is Miss Ann. If you haven't seen me before, I'm the early literacy specialist for the Lincolnwood Public Library, and I'm here with my best stuff friend Fluffy, who has some new spring pajamas on. You know, grown-ups, it doesn't feel like it's spring out quite yet because we've been shoveling that snow, but we are getting there. Spring is a-coming, right? So Fluffy changed her pajamas to have some little flowers to celebrate spring. Spring is on its way. I hope that you're cuddled up in your pajamas, maybe with a stuffed friend or a dolly, so that you can get all nice and relaxed for bedtime after story time, right? Now at bedtime story time and at all of our story times, even when we were able to do story times in the library, we had the same hello song. Hello friends, right? If you've joined us before, you know just what I'm talking about. Now our Hello Friends song has a few different sign language words, American Sign Language words in it. The reason why we include American Sign Language is a bunch of different reasons. Actually, there are so many great ones. One of them is that it's a really great fine motor exercise, right? Because we're using our hands and our fingers. Another reason is because we love it as a way to communicate with kiddos who might not be verbally speaking yet, right? So our littlest friends, kiddos who might have some language delays, sign language can be so great to help them communicate with you and reduce some frustration, right? So we're always frustrated if people can't understand what we're saying. That must be really hard, right? That must feel really terrible and get so frustrating. So this is a way to help with that. And American Sign Language is a real language that people around the country speak, right? People who are deaf or hard of hearing speak American Sign Language. So we're learning words in a brand new language. So if you speak more than one language at home, and then you speak English, and then you can speak some words in sign language, you are getting to be such a multilingual kiddo, aren't you? It's so great for our brain development. And so great if we ever get to use it to communicate with someone who also speaks sign language. That would be so awesome. That would be such an awesome opportunity. So we have a few different sign language words that we use in our hello song. We have hello, which is just a little salute from the forehead, right? So you tuck your thumb under your hand and do a little salute from your forehead. Hello. Then we have friends. Now friends is a little bit harder. Fluffy, I'm going to put you lower so I have both my hands because we have to separate out our pointer fingers from the rest of our hand. I know it's a little bit of a muscle stretch for our tiniest friends, so it's okay if they don't get it right away. Separate out our pointer fingers and then they hug, right? And when they hug, they switch sides like this. Friends. Friends. And then if you're ready with those two, especially if you've joined us before, I bet you're ready. You can add time, which is taking your wrist flat and pointing to it, like you're saying, look what time it is at your watch, right? Maybe you're wearing a watch and you're pointing at the face of the watch. And you can add say, which is just a flat hand tapping onto your chin. I know that we're trying really hard not to touch our faces right now. So if you want to just put it right in front of your chin, that's just fine too. That's just fine too. All right, I think we're ready. Are you ready, Fluffy? Are you ready to sing? Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Oh my gosh, Fluffy, you did such a good job. Fluffy does not have fingers or thumbs, so she can't say the words in sign language, but she can definitely sing along. She promises she was singing very loud. I heard you. I heard you. I bet our Storytime friends heard you too. Now, the other thing that we do every single week at Bedtime Storytime is we do our teach and repeat rhyme. Yeah, this is just like what it sounds like. We learn a rhyme and then we repeat it every single week for a couple of months so that by the time that we switch over to a new rhyme, you are ready. You have memorized the one that we've been practicing, because rhyming and singing and talking as much as you can is so great for our developing kiddos, right? So when you memorize rhymes, when you remember them on your own, you don't even need videos or lyrics on a piece of paper. You can just whip out those rhymes at any time you like to infuse some fun into your day. That's why we do our teach and repeat rhymes. Now, the one that we're doing right now is called This Little Child is Going to Bed. We're going to use a bunch of different actions with this rhyme, so we'll go over them before we do the rhyme in case this is your first time with us. this little child, we're going to point to ourselves, right? And then when we go to bed, we like to lay our head down onto a pillow, right? So we make a pillow out of our hand and tip our head down to lay on it. And then the other thing that we need when we go to bed, not just a pillow, but a blanket, right? Fluffy, I'm going to put you to the side so I have both my arms for this one too. A blanket. So to make a blanket with our hands and our arms, we cross our arms over our body and squeeze in nice and tight. This is also really great because I'm going to pull out a fancy word, but don't worry, I'll explain it. This is really great for that proprioceptive input. So that just means feeling where our body is in space, right? So our littlest ones are still having some trouble understanding how their body stops and something else begins, right? So that might be why you see them kind of crawling all over you, seeming like they don't quite know where you are or where they are. It's all kind of just one big jumble to them. That is them developing that proprioceptive input. So when we get a tight squeeze, even if it's just us squeezing ourselves while we pretend to be wrapped up in a nice tight blanket, that's helping us develop that skill. And it can be pretty calming too. It can be really calming. Try it sometime when we have a little bit of a tantrum brewing. Try doing that. Try doing that. And we're going to wrap ourselves up in the blanket. And then, now I don't know about you, but I bet our grown-ups out there have this as their bedtime. Do you snore when you're at bed? Would you snore when you're in your bed? I know I do. I will say it. I do. I do. So we're going to pretend that we have fallen asleep and we're going to be snoring. You can make some fun pretend snoring noises. Are you ready? Oh, don't really fall asleep though. Don't really fall asleep. You ready? You ready to do the whole rhyme, to put it all together? This little child is going to bed. Down on the pillow they lay their head. They wrap themselves in a blanket tight, and this is the way they sleep all night. Whew. I was close. It was close. I almost did fall asleep that time, I'm not going to lie. Now at nighttime, do you know that there are special animals that come out and are awake during the nighttime when we are asleep and when lots of animals are asleep, right? We go to sleep when it's dark out and we are awake when it's light out. But some animals are what's called nocturnal, which means that they're awake when it's dark out. Now, since we're talking about birds this week, and if you missed our bird story time, our bird lunch break story time, don't worry, it's right here in our videos playlist. Don't go right now because then you'll miss this burst of story time. But after, you can go check out that story time where we learned all about different birds and how to make a DIY bird feeder. That one was a really great story time. So we're talking about birds tonight as well. But what is a bird that only comes out during the nighttime, that is awake at nighttime and sleeps during the day? Should I bring out our bird? Should I bring out our bird friend? Is it an owl? Oh, owl's very curious about the camera. Is it an owl? It is, right? Owls sleep during the day and they're awake at night because they're nocturnal, right? They're nocturnal. Now, if you are a person that slept during the day, I bet that it would be really hard for you to fall asleep. Is it hard for you to fall asleep, owl? Because there's so many animals that are awake during the day that are making lots and lots of noise. Lots and lots of noise. There's a really cool story that I think we should share with our Storytime friends. I think we should share this story with our Storytime friends. This story is called Goodnight Owl. That's you. And it's a picture book that's written by someone called Pat Hutchins. And we're going to tell our own version of this story with the Storytime experts, you've guessed it, the flannel board. If you've been out here with us before, you know I was going to say flannel board. Now this story is all about an owl, just like you. An owl who really wanted to go to sleep. But since he was trying to sleep during the daytime, He was not having a good time. He was hearing so many noises. He was huddled up in his little burrow in a tree. Should we get our tree out here? Should we get our tree out here? He was huddled up in a little burrow in his tree, trying to sleep. Oh, closing your eyes, trying to sleep. No such luck, because the squirrel was cracking nuts. Oh my gosh. Let's get our squirrel out here. Let's get our squirrel out here. There's our squirrel, and our squirrel looks pretty happy because squirrel has some nuts. And we make a cracking noise. The squirrel was cracking nuts. The owl tried to sleep. No luck. No luck. We have some more bird friends out here. Do you know what kind of bird that is? It's nice and dark. Is it a crow? The crow was croaking. Caw, caw. You make a crow noise. Caw, caw. An owl was trying to sleep. No luck. No luck yet, owl. Oh, and there were more birds in this tree. There were more birds. There were more. And they were making noise. There was what bird is that? Is it a woodpecker? A woodpecker likes to drill into the wood of trees to make little holes, right? So the woodpecker is pretty noisy. The woodpecker was pecking, rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat. You want to make a woodpecker noise? Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat. An owl was trying to sleep. No luck. No luck yet. There were even more birds making noise in the tree. There were even more birds. There was. This is one of the birds that I learned about for story time when I was researching. A starling. Yeah, a starling has those beautiful purples and oranges. And a starling makes a chittering noise. Tweet, 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 tweet. You want to make a starling noise? Tweet, 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 tweet. An owl was trying to sleep. Poor owl. Poor owl is getting so tired. I know. Our Storytime friends understand. They understand. We all get a little crabby when we don't get our nap. Isn't that right? Oh, no luck for owl yet. And there were even more birds. There were even more. There were... Do you recognize this bird? Do you recognize that little one? A blue jay, right? This is one of the birds that's local to our area. So you might see this one in real life. You might see a real blue jay outside. Now the blue jays make kind of screaming noise. The blue jays screamed, ah, 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 ah. Yeah, do you want to make that noise? Ah, 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 ah. An owl tried to sleep. Owl is getting so tired. I understand, Owl. I'm feeling a little tired myself. But Owl didn't have any luck because there were even more birds. There were even more. There was... Can you guess what that bird is? Can you guess what that bird is? It's another one that's native to our area. Oh no, our birds are flying. Don't worry, I'll catch them. Don't worry, I'll catch them. I'll catch them for us. They're flying off the tree because they're so excited to be here at Storytime. They're so excited. There we go. There we go. Let's get our owl friend back here. Yeah, that's a robin with that nice red breast, right? That's a robin. The robin was peeping. Peep, peep. Yeah, do you want to make a peeping noise like a robin? Peep, peep, peep. And Owl was still trying to sleep. Owl is so tired. Owl is so tired. But there were even more birdies making noise. Oh, there were. Let's put our friend over here. There were sparrows. Now sparrows make a little cheep noise, a little chirping noise. And the sparrow was chirping, cheep. Do you want to make the sparrow noise? Cheep. And Owl was still trying to sleep. Oh, poor Owl. But there were still more birds in the tree making noise. And our squirrel. Our squirrel is also in the tree. Oh, there was another bird. There was one more other type of bird. And that was our... Can you guess what that gray and white bird is? Our dove. Our dove. Now, doves make a really fun coo, coo sound. Almost like owl, right? Almost like your hoo, hoo. Yeah, our doves sound really similar. So our doves were cooing. Coo, coo. And Owl was still trying to sleep. No luck yet. Nope, no luck yet with Owl. But it was getting darker outside. Remember what we talked about animals that are awake at nighttime, like our owl, and animals that are asleep at nighttime, like all the rest of our birds and our squirrel there. It was getting darker, and all of the birds in the tree, the woodpecker going rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, the starling going tweet, 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 the blue jay way up there going ah, ah, the crow, the nice dark bird at the top, going caw, 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 our dove going coo, 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 our sparrow going cheep, 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 and our squirrel cracking his nuts, right? Crunch, crunch. They all started to get a little bit sleepy. And just when they were drifting off to sleep and the moon was high up in the sky, our owl was wide awake. And our owl said, you guys know how an owl sounds already, I bet. Are you ready? Hoo, hoo, hoo. And all of the birds and the squirrel woke right up. And nobody was sleeping. Oh my gosh, you guys did such a good job listening. Owl, was that a little bit of a trick that you played on those birds and that squirrel? Did you keep them up because they kept you up during the day? Did you keep them up at night? Well, that wasn't quite what we should do, right? But Owl might have been a little bit crabby because he wasn't able to have his nap during the daytime. That's okay, Owl. I bet the birds and the squirrel will forgive you. I bet they will forgive you. Now, I think we're ready to say goodnight to our owl friend. I know Owl's ready to go on adventures now that it's nighttime. We have to let Owl go on his adventures. Can we say goodnight to Owl? Owl, do you want to blow a kiss to our Storytime friends? Mwah! Mwah! Oh, thank you, Owl. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. Oh my gosh, you guys are so good at your bird names. Isn't it great that there's so many vocabulary words that we can learn about birds? Don't ever feel grown-ups like when you're reading a book, if you see a word that seems pretty hard, that you know that your kiddo doesn't already know, right? So maybe like a specific type of bird, like a robin or a blue jay, go ahead and introduce that word. You don't have to dumb it down for them. You don't have to change it to bird. You can introduce the new vocabulary word, right? Same if you're reading a book about dogs or you see a dog outside while you're walking and you know what breed it is, right? You don't have to say dog. You can say it's a Dalmatian, right? You can use that new word. It's all those new vocabulary words that are going to be so great when our kiddos are learning to read and write, right? The more words, the better. Now let's get Fluffy back here for our next part of story time. Now our next part of story time is one of my favorites, because this is the part of story time where we do a little bit of a calming down with our imagination meditation. Yeah. Now I know meditation seems like something that might just be for grown-ups, but I promise you it's not. Because all of us can use a little bit of calming and relaxing in our bodies, especially right before bed, when it can be really hard if we still have all those thoughts from the day racing in our minds. It can be really hard to turn it off and get to sleep. And that's why we might see some sleep schedule problems with their kiddos, especially if things have been up in the air and changing a lot, their routines have been disrupted. We might see some problems at sleep time. And one of the ways that we can help with that is relaxing our bodies before we sleep to try to get our minds to relax too. Our minds and our bodies are so connected to one another. I know that when I feel tense or frustrated during the day, I can feel it in my body. Grown-ups, I bet you feel the same way. Do you clench? Do you clench your jaw? I do that when I'm frustrated or when I'm mad. I clench my jaw up, and then I feel when I release it, I can feel it. I can feel it. It's like soaking into a warm bath, right? You can feel it melting away and relaxing. That's how I feel after meditation. I feel kind of like a limp noodle, kind of like a jelly, piece of jelly, right? I hope that you notice some changes, some good changes in your body after we do this. Even if right now you're feeling a little bit clenched up or tense, I hope that after we do our meditation together, you can start to feel a little bit looser. Now, the way that we do meditation at Storytime is we don't try to clear our minds of all the thoughts that are in there and close our eyes and stay really still, because that's really hard, even for grown-ups, definitely for little kiddos. So what we do instead is we pick something to imagine, to focus on. What we do is we breathe in and focus on pretending that we're smelling something really, really yummy. So maybe a hot chocolate chip cookie right out of the oven and smells like that sweet chocolate. Oh. When we let out our breath, right? When we let out our breath, we pretend that we're blowing out a candle, right? A little candle flame flickering in the darkness. Maybe it's a special candle for a birthday or another celebration. Maybe it's just a regular candle that we like having around. When we blow out our breath, we imagine we're blowing out that candle flame, and we're going to do that 3 times together. We're going to do that pattern, right? So in, out, in, out, in, out. And if you can only do it 1 time or half a time, that doesn't matter. We get better and better every week, right? Just listen to your body. Do what your body wants to do. You're in charge of your own body, right? You're in charge. So if you don't feel like doing meditation with us, that's just fine. All right, are we ready? We'll do our first time. Got that cookie in our minds. Blowing out that candle flame. You ready for that second time? We'll get that cookie in your mind. Ready for a third time? Are you ready to smell the cookie and blow out the candle one more time? Does your body feel differently? Oh, I hope so. Grown-ups, talking about how you feel differently, how your body and your mind feel, that gives our kiddos the words, right? That gives our kiddos the words to be able to express that for themselves. Even if they're very little, they will pick up on your words over time, right? So if you explain to them that you're feeling a little more sleepy or relaxed, those are all really fun vocab words, right? If you're feeling slow, if you're feeling loose, right? Those are all great vocabulary words that help describe how our bodies feel. We need those. We need those so we can explain how we're feeling, right? Now, the other thing that we do every single week at Storytime is we sing our goodbye song. And it's almost time for our goodbye song. I can't believe it. Storytime is never long enough for my liking, I'll tell you that. Before we go, I wanted to remind you that in the comments for this video, I'm going to put our birdie Storytime handout. I'm going to put the link to the book that we told with our flannel board, Goodnight Owl by Pat Hutchins. Put the link for that in the comments, that if you want to read the picture book version, you can put it on hold for curbside pickup. And I'm also going to put some handouts from our DIY bird feeder craft yesterday, so that you'll be able to do that at home too if you like. And don't forget to watch our bird-themed video from earlier this week, our bird-themed lunch break story time. And don't forget that all of our story times from all of the weeks that we've been doing this virtually are all saved right here in our playlist, right? So you can go through, especially grown-ups, if you need a little bit of a break, you can put on the autoplay on our playlist and your kiddo can go from story time to story time. You know that they're going to be entertained and having some educational fun, but you can take a little bit of a break. That's always a good option to have ready in your arsenal, right? Ready in your toolbox. All right, now it really is time to sing our goodbye song. And our goodbye song is the exact same as our hello song, except we say goodbye, which I almost did at the beginning of story time, which is just an open hand, closed, open, closed. All the rest of the signs are the same, and the tune is the same. Ready? Fluffy, I'll put you a little lower so I have both hands for when we do friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Oh, goodbye, Storytime friends. I love you. I'm thinking of you all the time. I miss seeing you in the library so very much, and I hope that we'll be able to see each other soon. Mwah.